This is the story of the Emperor and the Nightingale. Once upon a time, a long time ago, in the country called China, which, as you know, is on the other side of the world, there lived an emperor who had the most beautiful palace you've ever seen. It was made of crystal and porcelain, and it had silver bellflowers growing right outside the window so that the emperor could hear them tinkle in the breeze. Starting from the palace, if you walked really fast, in about an hour, you would reach a wonderful forest with great trees and cool, clear lakes. Here lived a nightingale who sang so sweetly that people from all over the world would come to the forest just to hear her sing. Those who could write poetry would write exquisite poems about the nightingale, and all the people would talk of nothing else. Finally, the emperor heard about her. "How could this be?" exclaimed the emperor. "How could such a unique creature live in my forest without my knowing about it?" Immediately, he commanded one of his servants to go and find her and bring her back to the palace to sing for him. The servant was a little bit nervous about this assignment. After all, the forest was many miles across, and the nightingale was so very small. But he hadn't gotten far when he happened to meet up with a fisherman who was on his way home with his daily catch. "Where can I find the famous nightingale who sings so magnificently?" asked the emperor's servant. "Why, I just passed by her not quite an hour ago," said the fisherman. "Just keep heading east toward the river, and be sure to use your ears instead of your eyes. You'll be sure to find her that way." So the servant kept on walking. An hour later, he reached a river, but he still hadn't found her, and he was getting very hungry and very tired. He tried closing his eyes and listening very carefully, but all he could hear was the sound of running water. He listened again, and he heard the croaking of frogs. Then he heard some chirping crickets, but he still hadn't found the nightingale. Finally, the emperor's servant reached a riverbank. And there he found a little boy. "Hey there, young man," called out the servant. "Would you please help me find the famous nightingale who sings so sweetly? It's for His Royal Majesty, the Emperor." "Did you say for the Emperor?" asked the little boy. "Does that mean you've seen the inside of the Crystal Palace where the Emperor lives?" "Of course I have," answered the servant. "I have to live there in order to serve His Majesty. And if you help me find the nightingale, I promise to take you to the palace myself." "In that case, I will help you," said the little boy. "Look up there, sir. She's in that tree right behind you. See? There she is." And he pointed to a little gray bird perched high up in the branches. The emperor's servant couldn't believe his eyes. That's the famous Nightingale? But she's so drab and ordinary looking, he said. But just then, the little bird started to sing one of her special happy songs, and it sounded like this. Well, when the servant heard this, he knew this was the treasure he'd been looking for. So right away, he invited her to come and sing at the emperor's palace. The little Nightingale said she was most honored, and of course, the little boy went with them, just as the servant had promised. When they arrived at the palace, they found all the people gathered in the great throne room. There were so many people that many of them were forced to sit outside the windows on the green grass. Everybody wanted to hear the nightingale sing. And there, right next to the emperor, was a golden cage and perch made just that day for her. As soon as she was settled comfortably on her golden perch, and a nice soft pillow was provided for the little boy, a hush fell over the crowd. Everybody was very quiet, because they wanted to hear the nightingale sing. And sing she did. She sang so exquisitely that tears came to the emperor's eyes and trickled down his cheeks. The nightingale said, "I have seen tears in the emperor's eyes. What could be more precious to me? I have been amply rewarded." After wiping the tears from his eyes, the emperor thanked the nightingale for her magnificent concert. "You are now the most precious treasure in all my kingdom. I can never let you return to the forest. Stay at my side so I can feast my ears daily on your glorious voice." And so the little nightingale stayed on at the palace. Permission was given for her to fly throughout the palace gardens, twice during the day and once at night. But she had to be accompanied by 12 servants who each held on tightly to a silk thread that was fastened to her leg. It wasn't much fun, and she missed her forest home. But soon she grew very fond of the emperor, and he certainly loved her too, very much. One day, a package came for the emperor. It was a gift from the Emperor of Japan. But what could it be? Slowly, the emperor's servants opened the box. And what do you think was inside? It was an artificial nightingale. It was just like the real one, only much, much prettier. This one was made out of silver and gold, and it glittered all over with diamonds, rubies, and sapphires. When it was wound up, it turned slowly around its golden pedestal, and it sang a fantastic melody. Everyone said, "Oh, how beautiful. Well, now the two nightingales must sing together. What a duet that will be." So they tried to sing together, but it didn't work out well at all, because the real nightingale sang in her own free way, while the artificial one just sang like a machine. "Enough," cried the emperor. "This is making my ears hurt. I must hear the mechanical bird sing alone." Right away, somebody started up the artificial nightingale again, and everybody agreed it could sing quite a lovely melody. In fact, the artificial nightingale was every bit as successful as the real nightingale. It was also so much prettier to look at. With all its shiny gold and glittering jewels, people didn't seem to mind hearing it play the same song over and over and over again. Meanwhile, no one noticed the real nightingale. She had flown out the open window and on toward her forest home. No one, that is, except the little boy from the forest. He had watched her head begin to droop and her eyes cloud over with tears as the people cheered on the mechanical nightingale. As he watched her spread her wings and soar off into the starry night, he knew that he would find her the next morning, singing her happy songs in the treetops by the riverbank. And he was glad. And so the weeks and months passed by. Every morning, the first thing the emperor would hear was the sweet song of the artificial nightingale, and it was the last thing he'd hear as he dropped off to sleep each night. But then, what do you think happened? Can you guess what finally happened to the mechanical nightingale? That's right, it broke. The emperor became extremely agitated. He started to shout orders with a very loud voice. Immediately, all the best watchmakers in the kingdom came hurrying to the palace to fix the nightingale, but nothing seemed to work. They'd just barely get it going again when something inside would break down. Finally, all the watchmakers just shook their heads glumly and packed up their tools to head home. A great sadness settled over the land like a heavy, dark cloud. All the people could feel how gloomy the palace had become without music. And nobody dared to hum or to whistle or to say anything cheery like "good morning" or "how do you do?" Even the silver bellflowers in the palace gardens fell strangely silent. By the 5th day, the emperor had fallen deathly ill, and he couldn't even leave his bed. "He will not live to see the morning light," announced the solemn-faced palace physicians. As if in response to the sad news, it started to rain. It seemed that the very skies were weeping in grief. But then, the emperor heard a familiar sound. What was it? It made him feel very safe and happy. He had heard that sound before, but what was it? That's right, the real Nightingale had returned, and she was sitting right on the emperor's windowsill. "Please, can you come in?" he asked in a very weak and sickly voice. He tried to raise himself out of bed, but he didn't even have the strength to sit up. The Nightingale spoke very kindly to the emperor. "Of course, I would be very glad to come in," she said. "Ever since I was first invited to the Crystal Palace, I have wanted to make you happy." The Nightingale flew into the room and sat down on the emperor's great velvet bedspread. And then she said, "Do you remember when I first sang for you? You had tears in your eyes, and that made me very, very happy. After that, I sang for you many, many times, and all the members of your court would listen. Could there be any greater honor than that?" The emperor listened quietly, and then he said, "But why did you leave?" The Nightingale answered, "You no longer needed me. You had the mechanical Nightingale to sing for you, and she was so much prettier to look at." "Forgive me, my beloved Nightingale," exclaimed the emperor. "How could I have preferred a machine to a real thing of beauty such as you are? Please forgive me and return to my side once again." The Nightingale silently considered the emperor's words. Finally, she spoke. "It was with a divided heart that I resided here at the palace. Please, please, you must permit me to keep my forest home. I will come here every morning and every evening to sing for you, and then my happiness will be complete." The emperor nodded his approval as the healing notes of her song comforted his heart and soul. And so, as you may have guessed, the emperor recovered from his sickness, and the palace was once again filled with laughter and music.